This is the Angels Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Los Angeles Angels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. Coming at you live, as always, after every single Angels game, right here on the Locked On Angels YouTube channel, and after the fact, both on the channel and wherever the heck you get the Locked On Angels audio podcast feed. If you don't know who I am, what's going on, everybody? My name is Gavin Carlson, former credentialed journalist in the LA area, spent 4 years covering UCLA sports with the Daily Bruin, and now in year 2 with the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Our team is the Angels, and we had the circus return to Angels baseball today. We didn't really get it that much this season. Certainly, there's been plenty of losses. Today, the 23rd with a 7-3 defeat to the Baltimore Orioles. But this looked like one of those games from last year where not only did really nobody do anything right, but we had a lot of people do plenty wrong in a foolish, embarrassing way, right? We had errors. We had base running errors. We had the bullpen look terrible. We had wild pitches. We had plenty of strikeouts. And of course, we had another big fat L. Before we jump into this one, I do have to say, as it is a very important day. Happy Mother's Day to everybody watching. I really hope you already have spent some time with your mother or have called her if you are away from her like I am. My mother's up in the Bay Area. I'm down here in LA. So I made sure to get on DoorDash this morning and ship some flowers and some chocolate to her. But I hope you had a good time with your mother this morning. Hope you have some plans maybe later in the night, or at the very least, talk to them, right? So shout out to everybody in here. I hope that brought you some positivity. It's been a cruddy weekend for me, I'll be honest, between the Angels losing 2 of 3 against the Orioles. My Warriors fell down 2-1 against the Wolves, and Chelsea lost a horrible game this morning. But all that being said, let's jump into this one. Shout out to everybody in here. Jeff saying, another blowout by our Halos. I can't wait until it gets better. I know I will have to wait a whole while. Steve says, this team actually acts like they're playing for the lottery draft, all the way down from Artie to Perry Managian to Ron Washington. Just that's actually kind of funny. Someone saying Matthew Lugo is the new Kyren Paris. Obviously, we'll talk about him later in this one. And of course, the news of the day in baseball, which is Bud Black being fired by the Rockies. Kevin Johnson in here saying, repeat after me, fire, wash, hire Black. Angels win says no, fire, wash, hire Torrey Hunter. Very interesting things there. And finally, Angels win saying crowds at the games look noticeably lighter. Mother's Day's crowds used to be full. I mean, I saw obviously the crowd at the Angels game. I don't know if you're referring to throughout baseball today, but not really surprised, at least in terms of the Angels. We've seen that attendance slowly going down as this team loses and loses more and more games. But with all that being said, let's jump into it. And I don't know if this counts, but I'm going to do it anyway because we haven't done it in a while.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
We're going to do a turning point. And ironically, I don't think this is necessarily, normally it's what, won or lost the game. It's the deciding play. That certainly wasn't this, but this just kind of set the tone in terms of this being the circus game that we got from the Angels. In case you somehow missed it, in the top of the first inning, Tyler Anderson on the mound, really feel bad for him. Again, another start where he wasn't very terrible. He wasn't elite, but he was pretty darn good. And it started in a brutal way. He did give up a double, fair and square, to Gunnar Henderson, who's had a great series against us, had a great game today, but gets 2 outs. And he's got Adley Rutschman up. And there's 2 outs, runner on second base, gets him to a 1-2 pitch, throws a cutter inside, is able to kind of jam him a little bit. Rutschman hits a semi-deep fly ball, but it's hanging up there, should be a routine out, and Taylor Ward loses the ball in the sun, completely loses what should have been an easy out. You see Tyler Anderson bend over, put his head down in absolute excruciating pain, and not physical pain, but mental pain, maybe some physical pain in terms of his heart his heart just probably sunk watching that. He went, here we go again, just like last year, right? This really felt like a game like last year where Tyler Anderson plays well and there's a circus behind him and at the plate. But that really set the tone, in my opinion. That was the turning point in the sense that we had plenty of circus-worthy, clown-worthy, turn on the clown music. That was playing at the Big A all game today because they're just a bunch of foolishness, right? If in case you missed that, now I'm telling you about that. And it's funny, Taylor Ward continues this toxic relationship thing where he then responds by doing something great. He hits an RBI double in the bottom of the first inning. He makes a very good play in the top of the second inning on a Jackson Holiday line out right to him. But still, he set the tone for the circus. And ironically, he contributed to the circus in a different way in the bottom of the third. Easily the most infuriating play, I think, of the 2025 season for the Angels. 2 on, 1 out. Taylor Ward up in the bottom of the third. At this point, it's 2-1 Orioles, and Taylor Ward hits what looks like it's potentially going to be a game-tying RBI single. He hits a line drive to right field. Moncada is on second, and Soler is on first. And Moncada is rounding third base very hard, like you're supposed to do. He gets held up by the third base coach, and he does what he's supposed to do. He stops, he goes back to third. The only problem is, for some reason, Jorge Soler just decided he's just going to turn on the jets and he's just going to keep running to third with his head down. And guess what? There's 2 freaking people standing on third base, Soler and Moncada, both standing there. And it's very ironic because in the bottom of the first inning, again, it was a Taylor Ward line drive to right field. This one scored Jorge Soler from first on the double. And I was saying, and all of us were saying, look at Jorge Soler. He was absolutely turning on the jets. You know, he had the classic thing where the helmet's flying off as he's burning down the bases. He slides into home, gets the first run of the game, ties the game at 1. And you're thinking, look at Jorge Soler, a bigger guy, not the quickest guy, able to show some speed on the bases. Then the next at bat in the bottom of the first is a Logan O'Hoppe base hit that scores Taylor Ward. And it's 2-1. And the vibes are good despite what happened in the top of the first, despite Taylor Ward losing the ball in the sun. It's 2-1. But the circus, it returns on that Taylor Ward single because Jorge Soler runs to third. Moncada stops at third. We've got 2 guys standing on third base, and eventually Jorge Soler gets tagged out between second and third, which brings up Logan O'Hoppe. And again, at the very least, this game, it should have been O'Hoppe up with the bases juiced and 1 out. But instead, it's runners on the corners with 2 outs, and O'Hoppe grounds out to end the inning without getting a run. And really, that was in totality, that was the turning point, right? The first 3 innings, because that was where the circus was in full effect. Now, somehow, despite those 2 things I mentioned, we still didn't even get to 2 of the most infuriating things, which were the 2 errors. Top of the 5th, there's an error by Moncada. Cedric Mullins immediately responds with a double, and then Maverick Handley gets the sac fly to score Rivera on what shouldn't have been a run. So at this point, it's 3-2 Orioles, despite Tyler Anderson really not giving up an earned run. Obviously, the first one is classified as an RBI triple, but it wasn't an RBI triple. So really, it's 2 unearned runs against him with that error in the top of the 5th, infuriating. And then things just get chaotic in the 5th. Gunnar Henderson strikes out, but Cedric Mullins steals third base. Tyler Anderson intentionally walks Tyler O'Neill, and then Mountcastle comes up with runners on first and third. 2 strikes. Huge opportunity for Tyler Anderson, and this was one of the rare times in today's game where it was his fault. You have a chance, 1-2 pitch against Mountcastle to put the inning away, to keep it at a 3-2 ball game, or to keep it at a 2-2 ball game, but instead he gives up a base hit. He throws a fastball right down the middle, and Cedric Mullins scores. That makes it 3-2. So that was frustrating. And then things the wheels fall off, as they always do with this bullpen. Top of the 6th inning, it's still 3-2. At this point, the Angels lineup is doing just about nothing. And Connor Brogdon, not Malcolm Brogdon, the basketball player, Connor Brogdon, who's only had a couple outings so far this year, he replaces Tyler Anderson in the top of the 6th. Whether we like it or not, it was probably the right time to take Tyler Anderson out. He was already in the mid-90s pitches, obviously had to withstand a lot of BS from his fielders in this ball game. So they take him out, they bring in Connor Brogdon, and the wheels immediately fall off. He walks Ramon Laureano. Laureano steals second. He's able to strike out Jackson Holiday, but then he has a throwing error trying to pick off Connor Brogdon. Then that allows Laureano to get to third, and then he has a wild pitch that allows Laureano to score. So only gives up 1 walk And yet the guy goes all the way around, second, third, and home without any other contact from the Orioles. How does he respond? He walks Rivera. He gives up a base hit to Mullins. Sack bunt, scores Rivera and advances Cedric Mullins. And just like that, it's 5-2. And then the final dagger from Gunnar Henderson against Brogdon, who's already had a horrible outing. And he throws not a terrible pitch, a changeup down and in, but just one of those games, man. And Gunnar Henderson rips it, 104.7 exit velo, 386 feet to deep center field. And that made it 7-2. And that was all she wrote for Connor Brogdon. At that point, it's 7-2 and the ball game is over. We'll get to that one bit of a bright spot in the bottom of the ninth in terms of the final run for the Angels, and we'll get to that heck of a play in the field. You know what I'm talking about. We'll get to that, what happened in the top of the seventh. But we'll do that after our break here on this very frustrating edition, this circus edition, this edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'll be right back. Now, today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using it, I realized just how much I was spending on food takeout. Now I budget smarter, and I'm actually going to the grocery store a little bit more as a result. Instead of juggling multiple apps, which I certainly was doing, I just use Monarch to do everything. Check my finances, track my spending, and even plan my long-term goals. And if you do have a partner, it makes managing money with them even easier as well, because you can track shared and personal accounts, set couple goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So take the control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Today's show is also brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. I love the no-shells variety, whether I'm on the way back from the gym at 7:30 in the morning, whether I'm on my way to work at 8:30 in the morning, or whether I'm at work after that workout at 9 a.m. at my desk. Either way, I need some quick protein. I need a quick boost, and it's always my go-to. But if you do love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite as well. So get snacking and cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Back here live in a frustrating losing edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. The Angels, they came into this Mother's Day game with a big opportunity, an opportunity to win their second straight series. In case you forgot, they were able to take 2 of 3 against the Blue Jays, had an opportunity to sweep them, weren't able to do that, but still a positive series there. And then here, they split the first 2, actually have an opportunity to make it back-to-back series wins as you head into a very big week where you play 3 in San Diego, a day off, and then 3 against those darn Dodgers. But instead of having momentum, they could have built some. It feels like that optimism is quickly zapped away, partially because of the absolute circus we saw. We already described it in the first segment. Taylor Ward setting the tone, losing a fly ball in the sun in the top of the first that gave up a run that shouldn't have been allowed. Then Taylor Ward able to make up for it with the double, an RBI double. Logan O'Hoppe actually made it 2-1 Angels after the first inning, but then another Taylor Ward hit leads into a bonehead base running mistake by Jorge Soler. And then there's 2 errors, horrible pitching from Connor Brogdon, and suddenly it's 7-2 Orioles. Now, we'll quickly get to the player of the game. I feel like we haven't done it in a while, and a couple of guys were worthy, but I think I'm pretty sure who I want to give this one to, the player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I'm going to give it to Gunnar Henderson. I mean, he had the biggest swing of the ball game with that 2-run shot. He went 2 for 5 with the 2-run shot. Able to have, obviously, those 2 RBIs, 2 runs. He did strike out 3 times, which is kind of ironic, and for a second made me think about giving it to someone else, but I do think he deserves it. Ironically, if you take away the boneheaded play in the field by Taylor Ward, he was the best Angel today, 2 for 4 with the RBI and the run. But, you know, it's still, you're going to get boneheaded stuff from him. Now, we'll get to the little bit of positivity other than Tyler Anderson, because he was great. Once again, 5 innings, 4 hits, really 3 hits, because again, that fly out, or should have been fly out to Taylor Ward. That's not a hit, right? But they're going to have to rule it a hit. So it was really 3 hits. It was really 0 earned runs. But instead, it's classified as 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 runs total, 2 walks, and the 5 Ks. So the ERA doesn't get affected too much, just 1 earned run, but it should have been 0. And he should be a winning pitcher, right, for a performance like that. And then was Brogdon bad, 0 2/3. 2/3 of an inning, gives up 2 hits, 4 runs, all earned, 2 walks, just 1 strikeout, and that home run to Gunnar Henderson. His ERA is 12.27. And then Sean Anderson comes in, and he just ate up some innings, and you actually have to give him some credit. He did it pretty darn well. 0 earned runs, just that 1 walk and 2 hits. Did have 3 strikeouts in 3 1/3 innings. His ERA is 1.93. So I guess shout out to him. The lineup overall was not great in this one. Neto with the rare 0 for 4 with 2 Ks. Moncada goes 1 for 4. Soler 1 for 3 with a walk. Did have that run, but then had the horrible mistake. We already talked about Taylor Ward. Ohapi goes 1 for 4 with the RBI, but at least he didn't strike out for once. Still respectable stats for him on the year. Joe Adell was awful, absolutely awful. 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts. Kyren Paris goes 0 for 4 for 3 strikeouts, so he was awful as well. Newman 0 for 3 with a strikeout, but you didn't even need me to tell you that. And then Tim Anderson 0 for 2 with a walk. Now, there were 2 plays in the last 3 innings when the game already felt like it was over. It was already 7-2, but we did have a little bit of positivity from 2 of our younger outfielders, and that's certainly encouraging. The first coming in the top of the 7th inning, where Adley Rutschman hits a deep fly ball to center field off Sean Anderson, 3-1 pitch, and he hits it 397 feet. He really wishes he hit it 398 or 399, because Kyren Paris leaps up at the center field wall and makes a fantastic catch to rob Adley Rutschman of what would have been a 2-run shot. It would have made it 9-2. The game would have certainly been over. At this point, it's still the 7th inning. You're still down 5 runs. There's still a sliver of hope, right? And so huge play by Kyren Paris to, at that moment, keep the Angels in the ball game. A very impressive play. A lot of talk about him throughout the year, obviously in terms of the hitting, but also in terms of center field, second base, all of that. And obviously the hitting has fallen off a cliff for him, but it's not like Joe Adell is doing much better. And so if Kyren Paris can at least have an above average glove in center field, that certainly helps his chances of maybe having a future out there. That was one bit of positivity. The other bit of positivity in terms of future for an outfielder, Matthew Lugo, a day after getting his first career hit, his first career RBI, and his first career extra base hit all in one with that beautiful RBI triple in a big moment to help the Angels win yesterday. Well, how about this? Sure, it was about as useless of a swing as you could have, in the sense that there's 2 out in the bottom of the 9th. You're down 7-2. But still, shout out to Matthew Lugo, able to get his first career home run, 421 feet. So he shows off the power in a serious way on a 98.2 mile an hour sinker. And it wasn't a horrible pitch. It was down and in, not as in as Bautista would have liked it, but still not over the heart of the plate. And for him to be able to, on a 98.2 mile an hour sinker, square it up, turn his bat, get inside the ball, have the bat speed to catch up to it as quickly as he did. And he got absolutely all of it. 108 exit velo, 421 feet. He had a huge swing on a pitch on the outside corner, right to the center field wall yesterday for that triple. Today, he's able to crush one over the left field wall for a moonshot of a home run. So Lugo and Kyren Paris do give us a little bit of positivity there at the end of the ball game. That until, of course, Kyren Paris strikes out on the very next at bat to end the ball game. But Angels fall 7-3. Disappointing ball game. And yeah, now really rough stretch ahead. I saw people in the comments saying they'd be surprised if we win a single game of the next 6. Interesting question from Real Marco Polo. Would you start Lugo over Adell? Man, it's tough, because part of me doesn't want to put Lugo in a situation where we beg for him to play. He gets thrown into the fire, especially against teams like the Padres and Dodgers, and then goes 0 for 12 or something and loses all his confidence. We saw what unfortunately happened to Kyren Paris. The second he started getting everyday at-bats, he fell off a cliff, and now looks like he's lost his confidence, right? So don't want that to happen to Lugo. It's a hard thing to manage. Again, that's why we're not managers, and that's why Ron Washington is paid millions of dollars to be a manager. And at this point, I don't really know why, because he's not doing that well himself. But yeah, I mean, there's a chance that, like Nathan's saying here, Lugo could be a flash in the pan like Paris. The good news is they're both young. They both have bright futures ahead of them. And so it's up to the Angels both in terms of how they use them on a day-to-day basis. But more importantly, and what we don't talk about enough, what they're doing on off days, or what they're doing on off hours, what they're doing pregame, what they're doing postgame, what they're doing on off days. to help them develop. That's where we always fall short. And so it'll be interesting to see if we can save Lugo, get some confidence back from Kyren Paris. We've got people in the chat saying it's time to call up. Vinny saying we should call up Christian Moore and play Lugo so we can get some of these young players to bring back that spark. Him saying here, give me Lugo and Moore. I don't want to bring in Christian Moore right now. I think there's too much dysfunction. Would love for Trout to come back as much as he was struggling. He does give you that veteran presence. Would like to see this team maybe string a couple wins together, maybe a series win or two together, so we can have some confidence, some consistency in this dugout before we start throwing more young guys with inconsistency in there. I think Paris and Adele and Lugo, and I mean, even still at this point, I guess I just said Adele, but Adele, Lugo, Paris, even all the bullpen, right? The bullpen's a bunch of either young guys, Fermin, Brogdon, guys like that, or a bunch of washed up veterans. So there's not enough, there's too much dysfunction to bring in another wild card like a recent draft pick. And I don't want to do that to Christian Moore, especially with the road trip we have ahead and the struggles we have right now. But with all that being said, we're going to wrap this one up. Like Nathan says here, it is a busy Mother's Day, so I want to let you guys get to it. Make sure, I did have some family stuff, as you guys know, happen in the last week or so. Just added some perspective in terms of being grateful for every moment with your family members, and arguably no one more important in your life than your mom. I mean, your dad certainly has an argument as well, but those are the two, right? So make sure you call your mom at the very least. You tell her how much you love her if you're fortunate enough to still have her in your life, and go spend that time with her. But we're going to wrap this one up. Shout out to everybody in here. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a great rest of your Mother's Day. And we will be back here tomorrow night. Huge road trip ahead. We have 3 in San Diego against the Red Hot Padres, and then a day off before 3 against those darn Dodgers. So big week ahead. Have a great rest of your Mother's Day. Have a great rest of your Sunday. I'll see you back here tomorrow night. Take care, everybody.